that you going to the police station.
What?
Over there. You were walking to the police station. Also, you were walking up the steps.
Oh, I hear you.
So I thought.
Easy.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy.
Oh, a little nicer day today, no rain finally.
And that's it.
Let's go on a desk there.
So it's Wednesday.
Yeah. I just processed the monthly report, we had another 13 inches of rain this month.
Is that really all?
That's all. Believe it or not.
Well, what's not?
Felt way more than that. What's that? Who's?
Yes, Ministry Program.
Oh, I saw that. I wonder what that cost us that. I saw it, it's a lot of paper.
I think they
How can they do that? That's a lot of work.
That's the contribution. See stuff like that.
I saw it right away. Why would they even let that go out? Why do they do that?
My favorite is the picture of 3 o'clock clock with a for-lease sign. Why would you try to help your community by having one for-lease sign in your community?
I guess, who knows?
Hi, Brent.
Sup?
Yeah, you're welcome. Got pretty legs.
Thank you. Wow, people honking him. I've been called worse.
I'm not commenting.
No.
We will just let it go.
Got hairy lips.
Should we talk and call this meeting to order? All right, we'll start with public appeals first.
Is that me? Is
Yes.
that where I do it?
You
Okay.
may come to the table if you like. You can come to the table.
Oh, the table?
Yeah.
Pardon me.
And this is for the 226 Pine Street sewer project.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have it on the agenda.
Okay.
You first is Wildman. Is it Joan?
Yep.
John, and the last name?
Wildman.
Spelled just like it sounds?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Over the weekend, my daughter contracted viral meningitis. So I called the DEP for the 3rd time to come out and do a soil sample in my yard. Because as soon as the power was restored, the 18 inches of sewer was pumped out through the sump pump. And I also want them to take a look at
What date was that? Or the power came on in the summer?
it was September
Back when the storm
3rd.
was?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And, oh, I also asked them to contact you, Bob, to make an inspection of the pipes that are right there behind the because I'm not sure that you're sufficient. Basically, because the little bit of homework that I was able to do gave me the census reports from 1970 indicating that the population index was about 1,200. And last year was reported about 1,000.
1200 and 900? It wasn't 1200 in 1980.
60. I was being generous with 1,200. And
1200.
one year? 1970.
It's been 11,000 for probably 30 years.
Okay, well then I just their reports are wrong.
4,000 in 1900.
Okay. Well, I can go by a
Yeah, it's been-
record.
Yeah, I mean, we could check how many units were added since 1970. There's been units added down there over 70 that note, 1,200 is.
Let me offer him a statement here, because here again, I'm assuming questioning whether or not the pipe should have been enlarged as time went by. And I can tell you that typically when projects like that are done, you know what sort of area you are going to serve. And even when it's undeveloped, you apply some number, 4.5 lots per acre, depending on what setting, possibly more if it's a denser development scenario. So typically, the sewer systems are designed anticipating that growth. So I highly doubt that the sewer system was put in saying, okay, we only have 150 homes now, and then put in a certain size pipe. They anticipate the full collection area is what they're going to serve, and they design a system for that.
So 40 years ago?
In 63 and 70, when they put it in, the engineering practices have been the same since they've been putting that stuff in. So all I'm telling you is when they design a sewer system or a water system or any sort of utility project like that, typically they know what area they're serving and their general engineering generated values as far as density that would be coming into it, so that they account for all of that usage in their designs.
Okay. Let her finish her appeal.
Well, very simply, I would like somebody to go out there and send the camera down to see that there are no tree roots or broken couplings or illegal intrusion in those pipes. But there is nothing escaping from those pipes because, and again, I'm an amateur at this, but if those pipes are broken, where is that going?
Well, we'd be going
Stormwater,
to the
ground.
going to the soil. Pipes that hold it down.
And where does that run? Across the drinking sources?
Not necessarily, because the water lines are,
Well, see, you have to forgive me because this one just had a spinal tap on Saturday because of viral meningitis. So, hospital doesn't look for me. I will find out.
she's probably
I'm a
should be
mother.
speaking to the council.
I'm a mother, and that's my job, make sure that the law stays in time, and there is a public housing existing, especially in my neighborhood.
I have to plead ignorance because I don't know what causes that. So maybe you can give me some background on what causes viral meningitis.
Easy.
Okay. And it's from sewer backup?
I can't tie it to it, which is why the DEP can do some soil samples, not only in my yard, but of surrounding areas, because there are several homes on, I guess it would be Second, who
Right.
don't have basements.
Oh, okay.
So they weren't a collection pond like my basement. So we just went through the streets. And I did notice that Borough did street cleaning efforts the following day.
I can tell you that obviously anytime anyone goes on the roadway, runoff carries us wherever the slope carries us. Runoff actually contributes to more than 40% of the world's pollution. So whether it's sewage or whether it's salt or no matter what it is. And your question about whether it would impact the water system, the sources that produce our water are not in your neighborhood. The water gets to you through pipelines. So you have separation by distance because typically sewer lines are lower. But you also have separate pipelines, so you have several barriers of protection. The water line is under pressure, so there's no way the sewage can get into the water line unless that pipe is shut off. And it can leak in because the pressure inside the pipeline is greater than the surrounding pressure on the side. But having said that,
What are the water collection sources?
there's groundwater wells.
Ground would absorb rainwater and so forth.
Correct, but you have you have an aquifer that runs underneath the valley here, and you're pulling water from 100 feet deep. And you could get some migration from surface sources. You could have a golf course, for example. The golf course right down here. It could be over fertilizing, say, and you could be contaminating if there was any sort of cracks or fissures that would take it down into the groundwater. But you also have to imagine that you have the contamination is a measure of how much to how much. So, you know, dilution is the solution to pollution. That's kind of the case.
That's catchy.
You know, the more water you have in an aquifer, the less impact something going into it might have. So I highly doubt that the situation that took place in your neighborhood is impacting the groundwater. Having said that, I would say that's really the issue. We test for a lot of things. We test at what we call our entry points, and that's where we take the water out before it goes into the system. So we test for nitrates. We also run weekly bacteriological samples, not only at our entry points, but at 15 different locations around the system, all in accordance with DEP guidelines. In my mind, that's not where, like you said, you know, get out into your yard until that rinses and washes away. I would say that would be of more concern to you than the water. But I don't think, and we can certainly put a camera down in there, but we did go clean that sewer line after this event occurred. I spoke to you on the phone. I think I didn't. All communities suffer with water and sewer systems. They have a program called inflow and infiltration that you look for. That is what's happening in our sewer system. We are getting water into our sewer system through lots of different ways. We started the program back in 2006 to try to ascertain where that flow is coming from.
The program's still ongoing.
After we started that program, which was just started because it was a good thing to do, we then have been named as what we call an action.
What happened is DEP got involved because during heavy rainstorms, the sewage was overflowing the Allentown treatment plant.
Until we had
Once it overflows, it then flows bypasses the entire treatment, and the raw sewage goes directly into the and so once that we got involved and directed every municipality that contributes to the Allentown system doing infiltration and remediation program. And we at that point were about 3-4 years involved.
We started it before we were told to do it.
We actually became a model community of what to do because sometimes it's hard to get your arms around how to get this going. And so we have been going door to door, and we may not have made it to your neighborhood yet, but we have been kind of like mowing the grass, going door to door, making sure we touch all our neighbors and all the homes and businesses, and looking for downspouts that are connected, driveway drains, sump pumps, things like that. And it doesn't have to be right in your neighborhood that is the problem, but in the system in general, we take on a lot of water, as does Macungie, Lower Macungie Township, Upper Milk. Everybody's suffering from this inflow and infiltration. And what simply happened at your house was it backed up into your basement because it couldn't go away. That's what happened. There's no blockage in the main. And I actually looked at the sewer line profiles after this event occurred. And what I saw was the sewer line comes down Mulberry Street. And it's on a very steep grade. You can imagine Pine Street would be right here. Right when it hits Pine Street, the leg between Pine and Cherokee all of a sudden goes to a 0.5% slope. So an 8-inch pipe at 3% grade can carry more flow than an 8-inch pipe at 0.5% grade. Like this here. But what was also happening right there is there's a leg from Pine Street tying in right there, so it just caused things to back up at that point. And we had a substantial amount of water, a substantial amount of rain. Not only so much just that rain event, but if you remember correctly, almost every day afterwards, we were getting 2 or 3 inches of rain, so the groundwater was completely soaked. And what happens then is that this is your sewer line in the ground. As you get rain, the water table builds in the soil. And the hydrostatic pressure, as it becomes deeper over the sewer line, it exerts more pressure and forces more water in. So that's the condition we were suffering with. And that is, I believe, what really is more what happened to you. I don't think there's a block.
After the rain, it was exactly when I moved.
Right, I mean, that was obviously one time. There were other incidences that we had to deal with the extra rain. And I'm just saying that, you know, if you get a rainstorm, the ground's dry, this sewer line in the ground is not submersed in water technically because it's been dry. But the more it rains, your water table builds. And the more that water table builds, that sewer line is exposed to that additional water and pushes through joints and cracks and deformations and things that exist within the sewer system. So I guess I'm just answering your question that we could certainly camera it. And we did flush it, Brent, the day after.
At this point, we know what the problem is. I just want to look and look towards solutions. What angle can we take for solutions?
Well,
at this point,
what I can tell you, Brent, is this is not a short-term solution.
Right.
We are in the process of investigating. As a matter of fact, I just wrote a memo for council to approve the next section, another $65,000 that we're going to be spending to televise, clean, and inspect 25,000 lineal feet of our sewer system.
We've been doing that.
And we're going to be lining 600 feet where we found a problem the last project. So, you know, it is this ongoing effort. It's not like we can go out there tomorrow and solve this. And it all has a whole lot of variables associated with it as to why this occurs.
Well, August 1st, we've had 30 inches of rain since August 1st. And that is, I think that makes us over 22 inches of rain normal. So right there alone is.
I'm just saying as the weather, this doesn't help your situation at all.
Right.
I'm not trying to minimize that at all. I'm just simply explaining to you so maybe you might better understand the why of it all.
What is the solution?
The solution is to continue working on our sewer system. I mean, as does everybody else.
We can move it up as a priority though, right?
Well, it has been a priority.
Okay.
And the thing is that there are lots of homes in the borough that have things connected, downspouts, yard drains, driveway drains, and when we find them, we have them seal them off, and they introduce a tremendous amount of water. When they remodeled the church up here on North Street, we found out that all of the roof drains, there were 6 or 8 6-inch roof drains, they were all tied into the sewer system. So there's just a tremendous instantaneous impact of water when it rains. I don't know, quite frankly, I don't know how to answer this. I'm just telling you from a functional standpoint, we are working at it, but it's not a short-term.
It's not a blockage though. It's not due to blockage. It's due to volume.
We will look.
It's because of
I will
volume,
look,
right?
but I feel very confident because we were there the day after, simply to show. I forget who called. Somebody called, and we did clean that main out because we wanted to make sure it was open. And I believe this is the same main that you're tied into because it was 222 seconds read. So.
I mean, putting the camera down to check it out wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I think that's something that we need to do.
So that's the first thing we can do is put the cameras and check the lines.
Did we? Yes, we did. We have a sled that has a cutter, and it's water driven. And when you put that in the sewer line, the forces it against the walls of the pipe. So if there's any roots, it cuts that clean. And there were no roots there.
It's part of making, if we can camera it, but we ran the cutter through, so if there was anything, whatever was there, after there was cut out, there really wasn't much there. We could do it.
It's horrible. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, we are working at it, and it's not the fact that the sewer system is out. It's not the fact that the sewer system is just under-designed. It's the fact that it just requires maintenance, and it requires, you know, it's just one of those facilities that you have to keep up with.
Well, I have to tell you that some of my neighbors and I have been told that the couplings are broken.
I'm sure there are in some places. When they're broken, we fix them. We televise it, we pay a lot of money to, and we have been for
Yeah, we've
for
been
at least
budgeting
4,
that.
maybe 6 years.
We can only afford to do so much at the borough at a time, but we've been
Essentially,
consistently
what we do is we hire a contractor, and he has a mainline camera, a really expensive camera. And first he cleans the sewer line. We have an area already predetermined what area we want to do. So this contractor goes in, he cleans the sewer lines, he videos every single one of them, he records those videos, he notes any cracks, any deviations, anything that's broken in the sewer line. He also makes notations if there's clear water running out of people's service lines, because we get a lot of water flowing in from cracked service lines in people's homes or connected downspouts or things like that. And then we have money built into the project to fix some of these problems, but if we don't, our next project will include, similar to what this project is, a repair that we identified the last project, to line 500 feet of sewer to seal water out that we noted coming in from the last project. So
And
it's
that's some sort of water resistant.
It's like a
spray or
big-
silicone or something.
it's like a big sock that they blow. The technology is just really, that's kind of stupid to say, but you blow this sock through the sewer line from a manhole. It's coated with some resin, some special resins. And then they inflate it with either water or air, there's 2 different techniques, and it forces that liner to the shape of the pipe. And it's typically about that thick, and then they let it sit for so long that it sets up hard, just like a PVC pipe. So it becomes a pipe inside a pipe, and it seals any joints or any deviations or anything with the problem. So it's very difficult, but I can tell you, just from my experience, this isn't because the sewer system is under-designed or that it's falling apart. Things move and things settle, and so you're constantly working at that, but I would not believe that this has been some sort of ill-fated system that is completely shot. Anything that's in the ground moves as temperatures vary and ground shifts, and so you're constantly working on issues like these. And they're very hard to work with because guess what? They're buried 10 feet. So you're looking at all this stuff through cameras that somewhat are hard to view correctly. It's not like just like looking at this radio here. You're looking at it through a camera. It's kind of almost like a fishbowl sort of an image. So you have to have some level of experience to interpret some of those videos. And these guys that do this are very good at it. It's very difficult.
It's difficult watching your 4-year-old get spinal tap too.
I'm not minimizing your problem, and honestly, I really do sympathize with you, and I'm trying to be, I get the calls. I don't know how to answer the question, because, I would be just like you.
So step 1 is to video camera the pipes. And based on the findings, and
take corrective action.
The first thing, obviously, is to check. Just check it out and make sure we're at least correct in what we're saying, and we can do that right away.
I was gonna say, what's the time frame?
We'll
Next
work
week?
it out. Yeah, we can work it out within a few days. I'm sure we can get that scheduled.
Just so,
And
just so she.
because I don't even know if it was from my yard, the kids playing that out.
I can tell you that the reason why you have sewage in your house is not because you have a problem in your house. If the sewer line is at this level and this house's finished floor is up here, this house is down here, so a big reason of why it goes into a certain house or another is the relationship of how high, much higher above the sewer line you are, because that's where it's gonna go first, if it needs to go somewhere, you understand? So that becomes the reasoning for why maybe you had it, your neighbor didn't, or whatever.
How many neighbors actually had a sewer? Was it just you or were there, I mean, in the
Several
actual house?
Oh, there was several more than four.
Screw, screw,
Explanation from.
screw.
What happens is you have a lot of water,
Just the volume.
and that water is gonna vent itself until it seeks a level that's going to meet the pressure, that, it'll keep, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of rain. I mean, the interesting thing about this is that back in Ivan, when we had 11 inches or whatever, we didn't really have the exact same problem. So there becomes, and I don't know, because I'm not the expert. I know a lot about it, but I'm not the expert. What I'm saying is, well, maybe what set us up for this particular event was we already had a wet summer. So the groundwater was
Saturated.
was already saturated, kind of set us up for this with less rain, because I always thought rain was the worst. I reflected back on Hurricane Ida, we had more rain and we didn't have near the problem.
I don't think there was a basement in the borough that didn't have water in their basement, unless, anyone that had it in the past had it for that's.
I know the fire department goes and takes care of people's basements.
I think they
in
pumped out
events like this.
120, they
No,
pumped
they
out?
had 125
It
calls.
was like 120 basements we pumped out that day.
But that was water.
That was, mostly with water.
So,
All right.
I will,
That will be the first step, is to camera it in the next few days.
So we're gonna diagnose it, and then we're gonna discuss the corrective action.
Yes. If something's found.
Well, let me ask you this, has anybody applied for any grant money
For what?
for the?
Pursuit for,
sewage treatment? Did anything came across that it's available?
Grant money available last year for water systems.
Act 537 is just an act that controls the collection of sewage. There is no grants.
Health needs and water pollution needs.
There is no funding available that I am aware of for that.
I found online that in fact, if you go to a specific website, there is grant money available for community wastewater disposal needs must be documented, and quick documentation of the sewage disposal needs is considered fundamental for all following work involving sewage disposal alternatives or solutions. The cost of identifying and documenting sewage disposal is normally an expense that is eligible for planning under PA Code Title 25, Chapter 7, 1.41, CEP regulations.
And is that for somebody that already has sewer, or somebody that no longer, or doesn't have sewer, such as Borough Cruz?
I have to look at that whole thing. Did it say planning grant?
Yes.
Generally, or for, construction, new
Yeah.
system. Planning.
I mean, if you could provide that for us, maybe we can check it out more.
Yeah, it also has to do with, well, there's a public health hazard identified, suspected or identified. Has anybody looked into any federal grants? State or federal? Knowing that this problem exists?
I don't typically research those types of grants, so I don't know.
Should we get notification of availability of grants from the agencies that are offering grants? If there are grant opportunities, that we learn about it, and bring it to committees, and if the committee wants to come up.
But knowing that you've received, I don't know how many phone calls. Taking those action, looking for anything written? Because there's grant money for sidewalk, crosswalks. So.
We even have an
Sidewalks now.
Huh?
Grant money for crosswalks right now?
There
Well,
are
that's what I
grant
saw on
monies that come.
Now, my question is, has anybody been proactive? Having received complaints complaints that the sewer system is
We've been
not
proactive.
functioning at times, excuse me, at times of high volume or saturation? Have you received the phone calls, maybe just really been proactive? Because I know I spoke to you years ago about this.
I can tell you that the way we're proactive is continuing our I&I study and awarding contracts to investigate into the problem. As I said, I have not researched any grant opportunities that might be out there, and there may be some, but like Greg said, we are typically, all municipalities typically are notified of any
Do you have
grant
a
opportunities,
suggestion?
whether they relate to crosswalks, sidewalks, or
My
Like, do you have a
purpose,
grant that there that's?
well, my purpose is actually to work with you, so if you
Sure.
need me to do some homework, I'd be happy to do it.
Oh,
I'll
Well,
call the
I mean,
DEP.
that info you have there, if it's an
I'll call
active
the
grant,
DEP.
we'll
Sure.
research it.
Yep, it's, actually, it's online. Well, they don't put the website on here, that's where I got it.
And if you could forward that to Craig, please.
You'll look into it.
But we already have, like, we have a water grant for electric water meters. That ran out, but we're waiting for the next round, and we might take advantage of that. Electric water meters are where you can just go drive around with a van, and it reads everyone's water meter instead of somebody manually reading the old meters, household by household, and there's 4,000 meters in, or at least in the borough. So, we're looking at things like that, but,
And I understand that, and that would be a great luxury to have, but I'm talking about public safety.
no, I understand that, and if, well, obviously, check out the information you have, so we'll go from there.
So will maybe be proactive, trying to find some state or federal grant monies available for this sort of thing?
It sure as heck wouldn't
Sounds
hurt to
like
find
we'll do our
something,
best to find it.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can ask our, state legislator and state senator too.
Because like I said before in the last meeting, I'm at my limits with the homeowner's insurance that's available to me, and I'm hoping not, the gentleman who suggested I get more than for life insurance.
Why not? I mean, our council person.
Not life insurance, he might come out.
Except now that,
Oh,
if you
she's
know where I'm going.
dealing with a viral
I understand.
hepatitis.
You make the connection. Alright. Thank you, I'm sorry you have to deal with this.
I'm
Hopefully
just
we,
gonna get it fixed.
hopefully we're moving
are you gonna email that, or give us copies of that?
I can certainly give you, you want me to stop somewhere on the way out, put it
We
in a
can do
copy
it
of
here.
Paul, yeah, and Paul was down there too. I mean, I would definitely like that information myself, and he would too.
down on the first.
I'll go
floor.
along with you. Go down anyway.
Okay,
Thank you, Jerry.
thank you.
Okay.
Do you want to?
I'll try to wrap it up in 5 minutes. The old business, we're
Why
not
are we
gonna,
leaving now?
address anything
But
here,
Mom,
No.
except
this
for,
was a small meeting.
Reader Lane,
This
is the committee gonna move forward with
Mom,
having the
is
solicitor
a
here,
small meeting.
um,
Mom, this was a small meeting.
was a short one, okay? Give her
Are they talking about there's water flowing around all over our floors and
well,
stuff?
we had a
No,
memorandum
not
for
the
the,
solar system,
we
the
had,
ground.
Then why did they say solar system?
Sewer
consensus was to have
Oh,
Frank give
it
us
sounded like
procedure
I
of
knew
what we all
that.
received, and,
Still library talk.
procedure is that we have
Why do
him
I still have to use the iPad?
That's a random.
And when we are gonna be out, we're gonna probably stuck in here.
Well, not really a big answer, it's not even there. Okay, it's just
Right.
absolving ourselves of the responsibility of filing it.
Hi.
Right.
There's one more question I'd like Frank to answer, and that is, this is not trying to delay this, but what are the standards for vacant? That is, this really is an executive session matter.
Okay. All right, so forward that question to him and see if he can get that answer to the committee. Okay, so we'll wait for that info. I had mentioned South 10th Street, it's on here, and then you said you'll get to it.
Just to let you know, we're there today.
Okay, you said you were going to.
And I can tell you that, if there's a problem up there, someone needs to say something if we miss it.
Okay.
I would have to look, the problem there is all those people's gravel driveways wash out on the roadway when it rains. And
Okay.
that's what happened.
Okay.
So we were up there cleaning it, and we are taking some time to do some patching up there. We've got it all prepped, it'll be patched by tomorrow, so it should be a done deal.
Just to let you guys know, Tony Gruller asked to check out South 10th Street above the railroad tracks,
Oh.
saying that some of the road washed out and stones, if the stones could be cleaner. So I relayed that to Jeff.
Good.
Okay, that's fine. Compost center, new equipment, we'll just hit that next time.
Yep.
And,
There are just two things I want to point out.
Okay, go ahead.
As for your systems, when you're done.
I think that's it.
The red tag
It's on the
fees.
agenda here. Yes.
I have some statistics about those red tag fees. Route 61, 62, and 63 was read on July the 8th, had 39 red tags. It was read again on October the 4th, it had 41 red tags, 20 people are repeats,
October what?
the 4th. Routes 51, 52, 53, and 54 were read on July the 24th. There was 48 red tags. It was read again September the 16th, and there were 51 red tags with 17 repeats.
And this is since we instituted the $30 fee for red tags.
What happened was, we instituted that fee, and before Diane left, before that office changed hands down there and changed personnel, they were not doing what they were supposed to do, and I did not know that. So went through a whole reading process where there was no training going on with people having to pay red tax fees.
This is
So
correct.
then we had to start all over, so this is, we're kind of, it
How far in before it was started?
we went through everything. So basically, it delayed us from seeing the effects until this summer. I guess my point is that we have a lot of repeat offenders.
So you wanna increase the fees?
As I suggested to you before, $30 does not even cover our cost. I'm suggesting one of two things. Either raise the red tag fee or raise it for repeat offenders. I believe $50 barely covers the cost.
Well, we want the cost covered,
So what would cost
And-
be?
and for
Right.
future costs too.
I would have to sit down and put a pencil to it, but I can tell you it starts off with the reminder notice being sent out, a second list being generated, so you got postage involved in the reminder list. 6 weeks after that list goes out, another list is developed, to develop red tag list. That list is given to my water department. My water department guys sit down with blank red tags, fill out every single one of them, drive to every house, hang a hanger on every door, sit and explain what the process is to most people that they see. It would be very hard to ascertain exactly what their costs are.
Come up with a
$50 is what I had suggested before, and I believe you all decided 30 was okay. I think it should either be $50 or $75 so that we don't, because there are some other things tied in with this. Not only the cost of what we have incurred in this, but what we're taken away from by having to deal with this.
Yeah, Jeff explained to me how much time it actually takes. And it's not actually the time that it takes them to do it, but it's taking them away from, it may take them 2 hours to do the tags and go to Panama Mountain and whatnot. But it's taking them away from having momentum of doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. In other words, they can't, they might get back from doing that and only have an hour to do something before lunch then, and they're not where they could have gotten it done in the morning. Come up with a number for the Budget and Finance Committee. I don't think it really has to go through this committee. For the Budget and Finance Committee, $75.
I just wanted to
Make
touch-
sure your
okay.
costs are covered,
Okay.
because why should we be covering those costs for people that are delinquent on their bills? make sure our costs are covered, and
Okay.
we'll recommend that to the Budget and Finance, and I'm sure that will get approved, because
And then the only other thing I wanted,
I'm all right with 75, but I just wanna make sure it covers the
75
cost.
to 100.
Repeat offenders.
the only other thing I wanted to find,
I think
let you
75
know.
across the board,
Yeah.
because you know what, that will deter.
They have so many notices and so much
That would
time.
be the
for-
simpler of the two.
I just think across the board, at 75 or $100 are my suggestions.
South 10th Street drainage crossing. We have a problem, and we need to fix it.
Where's
Oh,
this?
the culvert, we forget
The
the.
culvert
Oh,
that
yeah.
crosses 10th Street by CVS.
The old
It is about 82 feet long. The floor of it is rusted to the point where it needs to be replaced. It's starting to deform. There is also a second problem, that the surface over top with all the rain we've had, I don't believe that that structure was ever backfilled properly, which is a concurring opinion that Hanover has. So you have some settlement on the top of the pipe as well. It basically means we either replace that structure or we try to fix that structure. And if we go to fix the structure, we're talking about cutting the floor of that out, fixing the floor as being one component of the job, and then a 20-foot wide strip over the top, removing the curb, the street, the dirt, everything down to the pipe haunches, and backfilling with good solid material, replacing that section of the roadway and the curbing. I don't have a cost yet, but I'm thinking, 150,000
To replace.
to fix. I think you're talking, you go to replace that, you're talking 250 to 300,000 by the time you get your permits and all of that.
What's the longevity versus fix versus?
Well, I think you could get 30 years out of the structure. It's just a matter of whether or not it makes sense to do that. And I've been speaking with Brad, but I've also been speaking with a representative from Contech, who is a culvert manufacturer, national culvert manufacturer. And I was supposed to meet with him on Monday. I had to call for jury duty, so I wasn't able to meet with him. And he went and looked at it, and we haven't spoken. So,
I've been wanting to ask this, I thought of it the other day. How much unused bond money do we have from projects coming under budget and maybe money that wasn't spent?
I'll be doing a calculation before we've done the budget.
Because this sounds like a priority.
well, just as, now I realize we're in a hurry, but this opens the door for some conversation that we need to begin having.
Okay, so put it on the
All
agenda.
of, all of the drainage structures on the PennDOT right-of-ways, I have researched their archives, and I have drawings of when those were put in. The state put them in, the borough did not engage in any sort of maintenance agreements with them. PennDOT is trying to force these structures onto the local municipalities, and we have some things we need to fix. I believe council needs to immediately begin setting that line in the sand that these are yours, not ours, because this is what's gonna happen to us.
I agree with that.
So, that's all I got.
Anybody else? Yeah, if you could find out what grant money is available, because we're gonna, we don't have money, so we have to prioritize whatever's left. What do we need to, whether it's new equipment or infrastructure, we have to figure out what we're gonna do with that. So, motion to adjourn? All in favor? Thank you. Thanks.
Of the Public Works Committee.
Chief,
Hello, Dave Faust.
Hey, I'm finishing up my staff meeting. I'll be over in a couple minutes.
all right,
Take
we're
your
running
time.
behind anyway, so.
You're running behind, that's,
Is a whole.
Yeah, hey.
Oh, intercom.
I wanted to just pass the word along to you today.
Oh, that's fine, Jimmy's here and Mikey's here.
Which I'll be reiterating this to your
We'll take
group
one.
of budget and finance, but, and I forgot to mention this, I know that we're gonna be entering into the budget session, and I know the belt's tight. My only comment to you would be, if you're considering any sort of personnel layoffs, I I would encourage you not to consider anybody in the public works department, because if we're going to be, putting off any sort of improvements or delaying any of that, you're gonna see much more repair needed and maintenance needed, and we're already at our limit. So I would say that you would really be not doing the right thing by, putting off any public works.
You and I had a conversation yesterday. All right, it's not gonna be easy. He brought up a bunch of suggestions too, and I'm gonna stick around and jot some of them down, because if they're not brought up during the process, I'm gonna bring them up. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.